West Virginia is mourning the loss of Norm Steenstra, an environmental organizer who spent his life fighting to protect the health of people who live in the mountain state of West Virginia and beyond. We should point that out. We're joined today by Beverly Steenstra, Norm's wife, and Gary Zuckett from the Citizen Action Group, of which Norm used to be a huge part of, to share more about Norm's life and legacy. First of all, thank you for coming in. I appreciated this. When I heard about Norm's death in January, I thought we really need to do something, because I used to interview Norm all the time about everything environmental in West Virginia. That's kind of that's only part of the legacy though, right guys?
Yeah, it is. Norm came to West Virginia originally to operate a coal mine, a little mom and pop coal mine for one of his buddies, and ended up staying. And he really took quite a turn in his life when he started taking environmental courses down at Marshall and applied for the environmental organizer position at West Virginia Citizen Action back in the 1980s.
Right, yeah. And that's when I remember Norm. I moved to Charleston in the 1980s and first met Norm and realized, and it doesn't take long, and I think Beverly, you can speak to this, it doesn't take long in talking to Norm to realize how much passion he had for whatever the topic was.
Absolutely. And when you talk to Norm, he was intensely interested in your viewpoint. He was interested in you and what you thought about an issue, or it wasn't about him.
Right. Yeah, and that was the thing that I remember most about him, Beverly, is that it wasn't about him. He was always interested in other people and finding out what they wanted, wasn't he?
And West Virginia, and yes, I mean, when we have been overseas, he introduces himself not as himself, but by singing very badly, Country Roads.
Yeah, I could just see him being like that. That's the other thing about Norm. He was very intense and very focused on whatever the job at hand was. In this case, we're speaking specifically about his environmental work in West Virginia. But he had that sense of humor too, and I think that's what drew so many people to him, is just that charismatic personality he had.
Yeah, you never know what was going to come out of his mouth next, so he always kept you guessing.
Yeah,
he's quite a jokester.
I'm sure he was. Gary, to speak about Norm's impact on West Virginia, on the political environment and the environmental aspect of what he worked on, the environment itself. Talk about the impact that he had and the legacy that he leaves West Virginia.
Well, I just came down here from the state capitol, where they're still making the laws up there right now, and that was how I met Norm to start with, as a citizen lobbyist for the Environmental Council. And the Environmental Council was pretty much Norm's creation. He was the one that went around the state, talked to the various environmental groups, told them that they needed to speak with one voice at the Capitol in order to really make a difference. And then we had very large conventions, like up at Jackson's Mills. I remember one year we had somewhere between 200 and 300 people together for our Environmental Council weekend.
Well, we wanted to take this time to recognize Norm. There's a memorial that's coming up. It's this weekend. It's Sunday at Coonskin, and talk about where people can be and what time they should be there.
I would suggest that people be there around 12:30 to get seated and get a beverage and settle in for a good send-off.
A nice tribute.
At the clubhouse.
Yeah, and this will be Coonskin at the clubhouse. Okay, service begins at 1. A lot of memories, and more than anything, I think I get the sense that there'll probably be a lot of smiles and a lot of laughter, because I'm sure that's the way Norm would want it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you on Sunday, that's for sure. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, see you there, Tim.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Thanks.